Hey there, everybody. Eric Chessen, founder of Autism Fitness, leading the movement for movement. And if you're ready right now to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro and bring fitness and adapted PE programs that are effective and meaningful to the autism and neuroadaptive individuals that you serve, then by all means, it is time to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro. Click the link in the description below, and it will magically transport you to the certification page. Excuse me, was fighting off a cold this weekend, but I have been successful. So in today's Tuesday training, I want to talk a little bit about push throws, which are of the 3 throws. Now, backstepping a little bit, push throws are part of our second phase when we're looking at the phases of different exercises that we include in each session of exercise. Now, there are situations in which the phases are going to change up. That's like level 2 stuff if we're talking about the certification, but for the purposes here, these our medicine ball throws fit into the power phase. So we go warm up and then power and then strength. I'll be doing another video on this as well in Programming 101. So when we talk about the power phase, we have 5 different main exercises that we use. And the push throw is probably the best one to onboard an athlete. We're producing upper body power. And if we're talking about activities of daily living, why is this important? Well, upper body power, opening a door or pushing a door closed, or any activity where we need to use some type of upper body force where we're stabilizing the trunk or core, whatever core means this week, and rooting at the feet. So some important activity of daily living skills that coincide with this. Now, when we have an athlete who does not yet have a good deal of upper body strength and stability, it may not be the appropriate time from a physical perspective to introduce power exercises. So we have to understand what we're going to implement and why we're going to implement it as well. These are important considerations because if we're trying to utilize a power exercise before the athlete has the strength and stability, it's not going to go well. It's not going to be biomechanically sound, and we could have the best of intentions, but it's not going to have the outcome that we're looking for. All right, plenty more to be spoken about on that. The reason the push throw is such a viable option is we can scale it back or modify it really easily. And I'll show you a couple examples in a minute. And what's cool about it is we can start at a very modified point and still get a lot out of the exercise for that athlete. The great thing, or another great thing about the push throw is we have both the production of force and we also have this coordination or reactive skill as well in catching the ball. And there are a couple different ways that we can facilitate this or set this up, whether we're working with an individual or a group. So the first video that I'm going to show you, so this athlete here, when we talk about at what point we want to use an exercise, at what point it makes sense for an athlete, we have Zeke here, and I talk about modifying the exercise. So we're a very short distance away. Now, a couple things to look out for here. We're a short distance away, and you see that there is a long latency between throws, which is common among our athletes with ASD. Sometimes we don't get this fast, really effective back and forth with the medicine ball, at least in the beginning. And a question that is raised, and one that is important, is whether or not we continue with the push throw right now, or we hold off until we think the athlete is ready. So at what point does this become a less than preferable option for us as coaches and as people putting together a program? So we see that here, what works is keeping this short distance and kind of waiting it out. From a coaching perspective, and this is, I can't state how important this is, understanding the athlete and approaching them from their current level of ability as well. This is a big deal. It's something that we cover in the level 1 certification. It's something that's far too extensive for me to cover in simply a Tuesday training video, but keep in mind, big deal. We have to approach this from the current level of ability of the athlete. So here, standing close enough that we have a full productive push throw, and he can catch the ball from this distance as well. So again, it's not the fastest paced, most explosive push throw in the history, but it's good enough right now that we can work on it. So that's video number 1 featuring the push throw. All right. Now we have another situation, and I'll open this up here. Now we have a second athlete where we look at the push throw and we see that the push throw, if we can actually start the video, there we go. So now again, we're close, and you can see this is the way that we can progress the exercise. Now we have our athlete getting closer. I'm backing up and he's figuring it out. This is a huge moment for an athlete when they start to click with an exercise and they start to get it. All right. So now we're about the same distance that I was with the last athlete, but we can progress this exercise, the push throw here, much quicker because we see that this athlete is responding differently to this particular exercise than the last athlete did. And now he's taking a break. So even in a situation, and this is important to point out, we have a situation, and this is why we look at physical, adaptive, and cognitive functioning. In the first video, we had an athlete who was very on task. However, the throw was a lot slower, longer latency between throws, less powerful throw. Second athlete, we have an athlete who is much more capable, at least in this moment, of performing the push throw, even at the point where I could increase distance and progress the exercise. And at the same time, he wanted out of there because it's not the most reinforcing situation for him. And that video is also several months old. Push throw looks really good right now. So the third video that I'm going to show, and then we'll go push throw, is another athlete. And you'll see here, this is a much greater progression of the push throw with this particular athlete. Go back. And let us play. There we go. He's very conversational as well. He's asking me about Chuck E. Cheese, and he's doing the push throw. You see his feet are grounded or rooted. As we say, I'm standing farther away from him right now. This looks really, really good. I'll bring the audio down here so I can talk. So very conversational athlete, completely on task, and we're able to progress this push throw. He's also doing an overhead throw here as well. So we have 3 different athletes, 3 different variations of progression or modification on the push throw. And it's important to consider, again, where the athlete is right now, what this exercise can do for them, and how we're going to implement it. So we don't just implement the exercise and say, oh, we're going to do a push throw and it's going to work. We have to have the appropriate setup from the physical perspective, from the adaptive or motivational on-task behavior perspective, and from the cognitive perspective, the athlete understanding what the expectation is for this exercise. So those are always going to be your big 3, physical, adaptive, and cognitive. And when we're looking at the push throw, you can have some athletes who start out and they get it immediately, so you can progress the exercise, create more distance. I wouldn't necessarily start out with a heavier ball because the whole idea is velocity. And then you'll have some athletes who need a lot more time to understand what the purpose of the exercise is, because it's really abstract. You know, what is the reason that I'm doing this back and forth? Some athletes are going to need a lot more time at the same level of modification in order for that exercise to become more meaningful for them, and in order for that exercise to produce a benefit for them physiologically. So some considerations with the push throw, 3 different athletes, 3 different variations as far as the modification and performance of that push throw. Same exercise. We don't need an entirely different exercise. Same exercise. We need to understand how to program that exercise. And that is your Tuesday training on push throws. I'm Eric Chessen, founder of Autism Fitness. You are ready to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro, whether you are an occupational or physical therapist, a BCBA, RBT, bunch of other letters, a parent, a fitness professional, recreation therapist. If you are working with the autism or neuroadaptive population, this needs to be in your toolbox. The link is in the description below. Like, subscribe, share. I think that's everything that you can do on YouTube. Or ask me questions in the comments below. That'd be cool too. Ask me some questions. I'll cover those in future videos. And I am done.